Dan Lanning is staying at the University of Oregon. He made that abundantly clear in a video released just after 9 a.m. today. Is actually pretty funny because during spring we're making light of the fact that, it's all going to come out whether he's staying or he's going right when they logged off. And, they sign off and boom.
Boom.
The video gets posted. They had a meeting and a staff meeting at Oregon, and right when it got over, Dan Lanning's video was posted to internet and on Twitter that he is, in fact, staying at the University of Oregon as the head football coach. The video was conclusive, too.
Yes.
You know, like it was.
There's not really any wiggle room in there.
And I know there are people taking shots at this same guy who said they play for clicks. We're rooted in substance, right? Mm-hmm. That video is all for clicks. Don't get it twisted. It is wholly for clicks. But these are the times where you want your team to be about clicks, right?
Yes, exactly.
And gaining that momentum. And, we played the audio yesterday. And as we were signing off, I said that there was a feeling that Dan Lanning was going to stay at Oregon. And in that video, it was, hey, it said the grass isn't always greener. We played that clip, right? We played the, I'm going to be
damn green in Eugene.
Yeah. I want to be the head coach at Oregon as long as they'll have me here. And those were part of the video that he put out where it said, if you're worried of your coach leaving, come play for the Ducks because I'm not going anywhere. And it ended with him smoking the cigar. That video, it was very well done. Very, very good video that he put out to calm those fears and ease those fears of Duck fans, which rightfully so. I mean, heck, with the way that, you lose Chip Kelly to the NFL, you lose Willie Taggart to Florida State, you lose Mario Cristobal to Miami. There's only a handful of jobs that Oregon fans would have been worried about for Dan Lanning. Actually, only two. Bama and Georgia, right?
Yep.
Kirby Smart's not going anywhere anytime soon. If you're wondering what his odds are to be the next head coach at Alabama, 100-1. He played at Georgia. He's the head coach at Georgia. He's won 2 national titles at Georgia. He's not going to be leaving Georgia. And so when Bama comes up, rightfully so, those fears are out there. He squashed those very quickly with that video. And now we can start saying, all right, you take Dan Lanning for his word when he says the grass isn't always greener. Be where your feet are, right? Mm-hmm. 10 toes down.
Because this is the one that if he was going to leave for somewhere, that was going to be it.
But I think there is more to this when you think of Dan Lanning, who has said, he's from William Jewell. He's an NAIA school. And they play, oddly enough, like they play in a really good conference that when I was at Southern, we actually played a team, Baker from Kansas, that was in their league. Mm-hmm. And it's they have a rich tradition there. But when you play NAIA football and you come up and you are a guy that was not highly recruited, you didn't play at the highest levels, I think there is something to getting that first shot. Get the school that gives you that first opportunity to be the leader of a program and to be a first-time head coach. And it means a little bit more, right?
Absolutely.
And for that job to be at a place that was in the Pac-12, that had a great base that he took over, and you have success almost immediately when you get there. There has always been this when you talk to people in the staff, when you talk to the former players, of Lanning's mission to build the monster, his own monster at Oregon, mm-hmm. and do it there. And the fact that that's a school that gave him his first crack, that's a little bit different because the other guys that had burnt Oregon in the past, Taggart and Cristobal, they had been head coaches before.
Right.
This wasn't the school that gave them that first opportunity in being on such a big stage. Mm-hmm. And the successes that he's had here in such short order and quick order, I think there is something to the fact that he is tied to the Oregon program more so than any of those guys ever were. And we never want to take these guys at their word, because how many times have we been burnt? Not just here, but across the coaching landscape. Hell, yeah. Oregon State. And Oregon State fans were like, well, now you know how we feel yesterday. Well, Jonathan Smith is Mr. Oregon State.
Yeah.
And he was that guy. Now, circumstances were far different.
Yes.
Where you're not building a national contender. You are in a program that is now completely up in the air with no home and nowhere really to go for the next 2 years.
Yeah, and let's face it, if there were still a Pac-12 and Oregon State were still there and none of this was going on, Jonathan Smith would likely still be there.
Absolutely. But the fact that Lanning does stay, and there was, CFB home, there's a lot of takes out there like, oh, Oregon's just a stepping stone program yesterday. A lot of that was still filtering through and saying, Lanning's good as gone. No. That wasn't the feeling in that building. I think that it says a lot about the program and culture that Lanning has built, that we didn't hear any leaks coming out of there,
right?
Good or bad. There was one from Jalil Florence, who said he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that we heard. But there was wholeheartedly confidence he wasn't going to go anywhere yesterday. And then today we found out, there was the report from KVAL that said, hey, he's in Tuscaloosa. We later found out, and this is so stupid. This is the way that it works now. But Dylan Gabriel's girlfriend was doing an Instagram live or whatever, a TikTok of get ready with me. I learned what that is. GRWM.
Okay.
That's an acronym for get ready with me. She was getting ready to go to dinner at Dan Lanning's house last night.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It makes you wonder who these sources were that were so certain.
Yeah, they weren't.
That he was not there.
They weren't. And this was the video today was based in recruiting. And look, I look at it as, if you're worried about your coach going somewhere, come to the Ducks. That rang to me.
Yeah.
That's directed at a certain recruit who played in the Army All-American game, who's down to Michigan and Oregon in the reports during the Army All-American game.
Gatlin
Bear, the receiver out of Idaho.
Yes.
Who's down to Michigan and Oregon and wants to see what happens with Jim Harbaugh.
Yep.
He's the top uncommitted recruit in the country right now, and he's down to Michigan and Oregon.
Guess what?
And it's if you're worried about your coach leaving, come to Oregon because I ain't going anywhere.
Yep.
It's I know what that means. I know what that means. Now that he's going to go on his Mormon mission, he'll be like the 2026 is when we'll see him.
Gotcha.
But you sit there and you look at it and you go, that was built for recruiting. That was built to keep momentum going in the portal moving forward. There was a lot of smoke yesterday, and the culture, the insulation of that program, I think we kind of saw what that was, and it was very quick that Dan Lanning kind of batted these worries down that he was going to go anywhere. I think this is huge. This is huge for Oregon because, look, the meaning of him staying, it is that's a wholehearted, full-throated commitment to Oregon.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that you're going to hear this out of Alabama. That they didn't even want Dan Lanning anyways. That's what fan bases will tell you.
That's what they always do.
He was number one on the top of their board. Mm-hmm. Now they're looking at Dabo Swinney, Kalen DeBoer, Mike Norvell at Florida State. They're gonna be going down their checklist. What Lanning has done at Oregon has been impressive. It caught the attention of everybody around the country. He was on the national championship game, and he went on the Pat McAfee show. And we'll have clips from the Pat McAfee show later, where Lanning was on there. But McAfee also added this little nugget to it. There was a moment during a commercial break of the national championship game where Herbie looked over at him and he said, hey, of the pregame show. Mm-hmm. Kirk Herbstreit looked at him and said, hey, you're the hot name for Alabama when Nick Saban eventually steps aside.
Yeah.
McAfee said that in a 35-second break, Lanning gave the pitch and sold everybody he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
About what Oregon means to him, what they can do at Oregon, and the fact that he believes they can win a national title at Oregon. That was on Monday when Kirk Herbstreit brought up Alabama potentially, and he said that's when McAfee said he was sold on Lanning not going anywhere. I think that is huge for the future of the Oregon football program.
Well, and he's seeming like somebody that you can put more faith in his words than his predecessors.
Yeah, and the ripple effect of this, him staying and him going, monumental for the Ducks program.
Oh, yeah.
It is monumental for the Ducks program. And you look at where they're going forward. Apparently yesterday, all of the meetings that were being done yesterday is how they can maximize the Oregon football program, put more resources into it, where they can reallocate money and maximize the funds that Oregon football is using. The future of Oregon football is as bright as it's ever been, now that Dan Lanning is making that commitment moving forward. So the latest is he's staying. They're really what I was prepared coming in this morning. I was just going down and just kind of, going through everything, and we were going to outline kind of where the timeline is and the confidence that people had that he was going to stay. Then 9:00, I'm like, oh, well, there goes that.
There goes that.
And that's a huge relief for Oregon fans.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, it is a huge relief.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you move forward and you say, all right, all that mess is in the rearview mirror. Now you start going and saying, all right, they're going to start plucking guys out of Alabama.
Right.
Because when the coach leaves, new coach comes in, you get a freebie.
Yeah.
You get a freebie. You can leave.
Yep. Well, they already had one kid decommit, too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yesterday.
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, 5-star wide receiver. He's a West Coast kid, too, I believe. He's the kid out of Mater Dei.
Gotcha.
If I'm correct. All right.